Hi, and welcome back to the Autodesk Inventor tutorial. And today we're going to be working on the patterns. That is where we make threads. Now threads are these right here, where on screws they have the little patterns like so, and that's what we're going to be CADing today. So we're first going to make a screw, and then we're going to make just a little box with a little hole inside with threading that is the same, and then we're going to attach them in an assembly. So first we're going to go back up here, and then we're going to hit our part. We're going to start a new sketch as usual down here, and last time I showed how to make a screw, so we should be familiar with the process by now. Let's go ahead and make the screw 0.5 inches, and then we're going to finish. We're going to extrude by 1 inch, and then we're going to make the top of the screw by making a plane up here and making another circle. We're going to make this, let's just do 0.75 inches, and then we're going to finish the sketch. Extrude by, we can just, since it's just for decoration, we'll do 0.2 inches on top like so. So now we have our screw, but it doesn't really look like a screw because there's no threading. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here to thread, and we'll read the description. Creates threads in holes or on shaft, studs, or bolts. So that says what threads are. Okay, and then you can specify the thread location, thread length, offset, direction, type, nominal size, class, and pitch. So there's a lot of things that we can do with this. So let's go ahead and click. And then we see that a lot of things come up. So first, let's go ahead and select a surface. So the surface that we want the threading to go on would be this one. So we're going to click that. Okay, so a lot of things just filled in for us. We're going to read. Okay, so type. This one says ANSI Unified Screw Threads. I'm going to leave everything as default because these are mostly for things where if you're working on a specific project, you would click what you want. So let's see. Our first one is our default. There are some instances where you may need for PVC pipe, and you would choose this and whatnot, or wood screw, or pipe threads, or taper, but we're just going to do what the default is for now. And then our size, once again, depending on the project, you can choose your size, and you can kind of play around with this and see how it changes. So if I make this 1.25 or 2.25, we can see that the thread gets a lot bigger. Or if we go the opposite direction and make it super tiny, then you can't even, you have to zoom all the way in to be able to see the little tiny threads. Let's go ahead and cancel and then go back because I need the default. So we'll keep that as 0.5, and then down here, once again, very configurable. You can choose, how many that you can fit onto there. Once again, we're going to choose our default. And then class, you can do 2, 3, 1. We're going to leave it as default. And then direction. Now this is the one that is not something that you would normally play around with. There's not really an instance where you would use left-handed screws anymore these days. So just keep it on right hand most of the time. And then for our behavior, once again, we get to choose. So since the whole thing is 1 inch, it automatically just default it. Set it as 1 inch, but let's see if I do 2 inches, and it'll just stay the same since we don't have 2 inches. But if we do 0.5 inches, for example, like this, it starts at the top. So let's say that we want it to be 0.5 from the bottom. So then we would just come down here and use the offset tool and would offset that amount by 0.5. Or if we wanted it in the middle, then we would offset it by 0.25. But in this case, I want the whole thing, so I'm going to choose 1, and I want 0 offset. I'm going to hit OK, and there we go. We have our screw. So that looks like what we have back here, which is what we wanted. So then we're going to come back, and then we're going to create another part, and this is going to be what we're screwing into. So if you have any projects that you're building that require screw holes, then this is what that would be. So let's just go ahead and make this 4 by 5 inches and finish, and we'll extrude this by, since our screw was 1 inch, we'll make this we'll make it 5 inches tall. Hit OK, and then what we're going to do is we're going to hit another sketch up here, and we can see it creates another sketch right there. And then we're going to use our construction line that I believe we've talked about before, but if we, just to refresh, construction lines are lines where they don't count in the model. So nothing will be affected if you use construction lines. So let's see, and it'll show up as dotted, just like that. And you can also make construction circles, construction arcs. So as long as the construction tool is selected, everything that you make will not be affected. So I'm going to use that construction tool so that it's easier for me to find the center with this point tool. And right there. So we'll hit that center point, and then we'll use a circle. You could also just click the circle and then come in here. We'll drag it out. I believe that radius was, 0.5 inches, if I'm not mistaken. But we can always come back and look. So 0.5 inches is what we want. So we're going to come over here and we're going to drag this out 0.5 inches. Oh, and when you use the construction line, you need to make sure that you deselect it when you're actually making the circle, so that it will actually register. Because let's see what happens if we just make the construction line. We're going to finish the sketch, and then we're going to extrude, and nothing happens because this construction line, the computer is like, we're not touching this. So we're going to want to make sure that we're going to use our actual full circle and that it's not a dotted line. And finish, and now we can extrude. But we want it extruding the other way, and we want it to only go 1 inch. So we'll make that, click OK. And then to do the thread for the inside, it's the same thing. So just click thread, and then click the surface that you want, and then it'll pop up. And once again, just the default settings is perfect, and we'll hit OK. And just like that, we have our hole, and hopefully we'll get a top view of that. So it just looks like a normal hole, but you gotta kind of move it to be able to see the inside, like so. And you might be wondering what would happen if you try and select the surface outside. It doesn't work because threads are, you know, for bolts and that sort of thing, so you can't thread the outside here. So we're going to name these parts accordingly, and we're going to finish the sketch here. And we can just name this screw version 2, since I already made a screw before, and we'll save. And then we're going to come over here, and then we're going to call this our building block version 2 as well, since I have another one named version 2. We're going to come back, and then we're going to go into our assembly, which is what we talked about last time, and then we're going to place our screw version 2. So come down here, screw version 2, perfect. Open it, just click, and that'll pop up. And then place another one. We're going to place our building block version 2 here. Place it down, hit escape. And then once again, like last time, we're going to right click on this component, make sure that it's highlighted green so that it selects. If it doesn't, if we're just randomly right clicking, nothing is going to happen and bad things happen. So we want to make sure that it highlights the component that you want. Right click, grounded. Now we can't move this at all, but since this one's not grounded, we can move this wherever we want. So we're going to once again click constraint. And then we're going to go through the bottom surface here and through the top thread and hit apply. And there we go. So now our screw is perfectly inside of this block. And if we want to make sure that it's fully cemented down, once again, we'll just hit constraint. Just like last time, hit the top surface here, bottom, and it'll automatically fill in. So hit apply, and then we can send this off as our final product and say, hey, this is what we want. So that's all for this tutorial. That's a very basic intro into threads. And then for the next time, we're going to be talking about project geometry.